Welcome everyone to Monday Match Analysis. I'm Gill. It's a little bit dark here from the Monday Match Analysis studios because my light literally just went out. That is unfortunate. What is not unfortunate is we have a few good things to talk about today. There were 3 champions from the weekend, and it's been a little while since I've done a technical analysis. And I think that's what most people like most about this channel. So I want to get back into that. I'm going to take the 3 champions, Stefanos, Khachanov, and Edmund. And I'm going to just point out one thing that they did really well. One thing about their games that's really hard to handle for opponents. And I'll use some match footage to illustrate that. The next 2 things are Roger Federer's hand injury, which he kind of revealed to a German media outlet a few days ago. And the last thing is the Wimbledon rule change. 12-all, 5th set at Wimbledon. I want to start with Federer, because Federer leads. That's how it goes in newsworthiness here. Wimbledon rule change. The 3 finals winners, I think Federer leads. And I just made that decision. So the one thing I'll say is, first of all, his comments did come as a surprise to me because I didn't really see any sign of injury. But at the same time, what he said is consistent with kind of what was wrong with his game. And primarily, if you look at the Kevin Anderson match, I think that's the one that really jumps out the most to me. I mean, his forehand was awful in that match. It was the real reason that he lost that match was the forehand. And what Roger Federer has said to this German media outlet is that his right hand was injured, and it was really bothering him on his forehand in particular. So that stuff's all consistent. I don't want to harp on it too much, other than to point out or to kind of debunk something that is far too often spread in the tennis world, and that is that an injury is an excuse. Because an injury really isn't an excuse. Injuries are part of the game. So when Djokovic hurt his elbow, that is not an excuse. When Nadal has his knee problems, that's not an excuse. And it's the same thing for Federer. If Federer is injured, that is not an excuse. That is a shortcoming. That's how you need to look at injuries in tennis. Some players will make more money. Some players will have better careers because they get injured less. It's not an excuse. It's an explanation. And there's a really big difference. I'm often impressed with how players are able, and this is a separate point, but I'm often impressed with how players are able to keep their mouth shut when they have small injuries. Because as a competitor, you want to say all the credit in the world to my opponent, but this is why I couldn't play as well as I wanted to. And I think that most of the champions in this sport do a really admirable job of keeping their injuries pretty low key, keeping it quiet. So Federer didn't say anything until now. I don't blame him for saying anything or for saying something because I think it's really hard as a competitor to just not let anyone know, why you may have been having some struggles. I don't know. That's just me. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. I think the most important point I can make is it's not an excuse. It's an explanation. And health players are held accountable for their health. So it's not, Federer's making an excuse for himself. It's not Gill's making an excuse for Federer. That would be kind of ridiculous because I didn't say any of this, Federer did. But the point remains the same. Injuries aren't excuses. Let's talk about Wimbledon. I don't want to go too long on this Wimbledon rule either. I think, first of all, it's not very consequential because it's very rare that we'll see a match go to 12-all in a 5th set. when it does happen, it's very likely we'll have John Isner in the match. But I think what this came down to is Wimbledon saw what happened last year, and they realized that what happened last year was unacceptable. And they'd be right in saying that. What happened last year was unfair to a few parties. First of all, it was unfair to Djokovic and Nadal, who had to wait all day on Friday. Then they had to take the court with the roof closed. They had to stop the match in the middle due to the curfew. Then the next day, should the roof have been open? Should the roof have been closed? That controversy kind of boiled over. And then they had to play again Sunday. So 3 days. So the waiting, the 3 days back to back, the roof stuff, it wasn't fair to them. The second person it was unfair to was Kevin Anderson, who won the match, but, you know, you can't expect a player to play a match over 6 hours and then be able to play another match at the highest level in 2 days later. And the third person it was unfair to was John Isner, whose entire summer, in my opinion, was ruined by this singular match. He kept having these fits of fatigue where the MPH on his serve was extremely low. And even in Atlanta, which he won, he would have these fits of fatigue that he was able to get through. In Washington, D.C., ousted early. Canada, I believe he had to skip for rest. Cincinnati, I don't think he did very well there. So, John, who has his favorite time of year, is that's terrible English, but John's favorite time of year is that American hardcourt swing after Wimbledon, and he was completely depleted for it. Luckily, he was able to kind of recover his gas tank in time for the U.S. Open. But it wasn't fair to those three parties. So they had to make a change, and they made the change. I commend Wimbledon. It continuously shows that it's a well-run tournament, and it's the class of the sport. So kudos to Wimbledon. I haven't read a compelling argument against this rule change, but if you have one, comment section. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. All right. Let's get to this match footage. I'm very excited for this. There were 3 finals. We'll begin with Karen Khachanov in Moscow. Very happy for Hachi winning his hometown tournament. That's always a beautiful thing. He defeated Adrian Mannarino 6-2, 6-2. Wasn't close. Blew him off the court. So let's see what we got here. Yes. The backhand cross court on the run, open stance, sets up the overhead winner. So I think the reason I chose this point is because Karen Khachanov hits a shot in that rally that I think very few people are able to hit. I think very few players of his type are able to hit. If you're a 6'2 player, a more mobile baseliner, a grinder type, then I guess it's not uncommon. But Karen Khachanov is a big serve, big forehand guy, a guy with a huge game. And the shot he hits in this rally, to me, is the shot of a polished and skilled baseliner. And that is this open stance, cross-court backhand from a defensive position so strong. And also the movement incorporated with it, where he's able to, if you look at this Mannarino forehand, it's a short, he gets a short ball here, he steps into it, places it well, and Khachanov just gets to the spot so well and drives off of his left foot so well. If we watch it again here, boom. And look how deep and strong that backhand is. So he flips the point. What we see there is we see Khachanov in a defensive position. And with that backhand, watch him flip the point now. Look what that sets up. Midcourt forehand for Hachi. And now he takes control. And there's the finish. So I think he's so tremendously talented. I think he's going to be a top 5 player in his career. I think it's almost a no-brainer. Considering how good that backhand is, considering how well he's able to generate when his forehand is put in the right positions, which I think his game is so big around his forehand that he's able to put his forehands in the right positions. What I mean by that is Khachanov, when it comes to his forehand, it loses a lot when he's on the run. It loses a lot when it's very low. What he likes is manageable forehands where he's able to set his feet, when he's able to hit it high. Shoulder height, he's tremendous. Some players like their forehand more hip level, but I feel like Khachanov probably likes it a little bit higher shoulder height, even above the shoulders. Khachanov, with his extreme Western grip, he kind of enjoys that forehand. So his forehand isn't the most versatile weapon, but when you serve as big as Khachanov does, when you have that backhand, which can be such a big weapon, you're going to set up your forehand, you're going to put your forehand in positions where it can thrive, and it's a big shot. I mean, he can crush that shot, and he moves so well for a 6'6" guy. He can run around. He can run around his backhand. He can use small adjustment steps. He can defend a little bit as well. So that's a top 5 player you're looking at right there. And that point, I think, showcased why. He's one of those prototypes, a big man who can do little man things. Who can hit that shot at 6'6"? Probably Marin Cilic, but that's maybe it. I don't know if Delpo could muster that amount of power on the two-hander that Khachanov just mustered. Certainly, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't think anyone else can really hit that shot. So that's a very special shot. Let's go now to Stefanos Tsitsipas. He won Stockholm. He defeated Ernest Gulbis. Good to see Gulbis playing some good tennis, making a final. What do we got here? The backhand. The backhands, rather, from Tsitsipas. The quality isn't great on this. I'm sorry for that. But this is the best I've seen Tsitsipas hit his backhand. And it's progressed so nicely from when he upset Dominic Thiem in Barcelona, and I reviewed the footage and I was watching his backhand and I had some concerns. And then even when I watched him in DC against Sasha Zverev, and I expressed to you guys that there are concerns about the backhand, the way he hits his backhand in this rally is exceptional. And specifically, you have a choice when you hit, or I guess I should say, there's something very distinct technically about hitting it on the rise and getting catching a ball early versus dropping back and hitting a ball when it's kind of on its way down. And I'd say when you get a ball on its way down, what you have to do is you need to drop the racket head under the ball. And, you know, you need to kind of brush up on the ball a little bit more. Usually. There are exceptions. But that's what Tsitsipas would do a lot of the time. He would kind of back up. He'd hit a very loopy ball. It was a very kind of brush up backhand. And it would have a lot of shape, but at the highest level, professionals are going to step in, and if you don't have a very strong ball, if you don't have pace, if you don't have heaviness, if you just hit kind of a loopy backhand, players are going to like a Sasha Zverev is going to step in and take his two-hander early like a laser. He's gonna really, like, there is a big disparity in the pace between those backhands. What Tsitsipas does in this rally is he takes the ball on the rise and comes over it and closes the racket face a little bit and flattens it out a little bit. It's kind of the adjustment that Federer made in 2017 with his backhand. Watch how Tsitsipas takes these balls on the rise, and watch how he gets on top of the ball and hits them with less shape, which I think when you're not defending is important. When you're defending, yeah, shape is great. Gives you time to recover, gives you more margin. Maybe you can kick the ball up and get it out of your opponent's contact zone or strike zone, rather. But when you're hitting, your trades or when you're trying to attack, shape is normally not your friend. And Tsitsipas used to use too much of it. I really like how strong he was and how he accelerated on this point. Check this out. This one especially. Strong. Actually, that one even more so. Look at him step in. Look at his left foot. Watch his left foot on these. He creates forward momentum for himself. See him moving diagonally into the court? Not so much on that one, but look at this one especially. And then he pulls it line. Gorgeous. Gorgeous by Tsitsipas. I mean, that forehand is so massive and such a special weapon that Tsitsipas possesses. The backhand is lagging a little bit, but he hit it so well in this tournament. And some of that could have been with a low bouncing indoor hard court. So, we'll see. Third and final match is Kyle Edmund against Gael Monfils. Oh, you know what? It's not Monfils. It's Monfils. You are supposed to pronounce the S. I can't believe this. This is unbelievable. I thought the French, if there's a consonant at the end, they get rid of it. But apparently not. So, Gael Monfils. What do we have? Ah, yes. Now, this one's a two-way street here. I know I've been complimenting the winners. This is Kyle Edmund on a big game point 3-4. He would end up winning this match in a third set tiebreak. That's his first title, I believe. Kyle Edmund's first ATP World Tour title. So congratulations to Eddie. The same is true for Tsitsipas too. So I think all these guys won for the first time. But what I want to highlight here first, before I compliment Edmund, this return by Monfils is unacceptable. Slow second serve, and he rolls it in there. He's way back behind the baseline, at the Antwerp lettering or painting. He uses that kind of... It's weak. I don't know what else to tell you. It's weak. Now, if Gael was trying to defend himself to his coaches, he'd say, I was just trying to roll it back to Edmund's backhand. Look where I hit it. Cross court, I'm just trying to get it to the backhand. Well, why didn't it work? Because two things. First of all, if you're going to stand 8 feet behind the baseline, that's more time that the ball has to travel to the other side of the court, more time for Edmund to run around the backhand. And the second thing is too loopy. What did we just talk about with Tsitsipas's backhand? I mean, Monfils, if he's going to get it to Edmund's backhand, there's no way he can stand on the back fence and hit it loopy. Edmund's footwork is too good, and especially with his mindset always looking for the forehand, he's going to get that every time. So on a second serve like this, Monfils really needs to be able to take a kick serve, second serve on the rise. I mean, I think this is just an essential shot in men's tennis. Now, you don't need it always, but if you might say, like, Gill, what about Dominic Thiem? What about Rafa Nadal? They stand far back, but they rip the ball. You can't stand that far back and then decelerate on a backhand return. Look at him decelerate here. That wasn't full accept. Well, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. But still, too loopy, not strong enough, and it sets up Edmund with this incredible forehand, which is really, I mean, now the second one was even more impressive because Edmund's got a pretty Western grip. It's pretty Western. And Western grips normally struggle with the low balls a little bit. This was even tougher because it was inside the court. So mid-court forehand, and it was not the first time I saw Edmund hit this shot in this match. I think that this is extremely high level of difficulty. So that one's huge, but this one's tough. And he hits it beautifully. So props to Kyle Edmund. Basel is coming up. Or it's not coming up. It started today. But I think a pretty big tournament for Roger Federer. Just because things haven't gone so well for him recently. So for sure, we'll have our eye on Roger this week. And hopefully I can get some videos towards the end of the week. The reason this video will be 20 minutes and not 30 minutes is because there's no comments. Because I didn't make a video during the week. So hopefully we'll get back to that routine. Video during the week. Comments on that video. I can do my thing and then reply to the comments on Monday. Another thing I want to pitch before I go. Jeff Salzenstein, Tennis Evolution. I want you to check out his channel. We're going to be doing some collaborations, so subscribe to his channel and look out for our collaborations. It might be kind of an every Sunday thing, but he is a tremendous tennis mind. He's a great coach, and he was a great player. He's also very well sourced, which is something that I enjoyed so much about our conversation on Sunday. Because he has so many relationships in the sport, he really gets great information. So subscribe to Tennis Evolution, Jeff Salzenstein, and look out for our collaborations. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.